Our next speaker for tonight is Bryn. Bryn is a junior majoring in environmental studies and minoring in international affairs. She is passionate about animal rights and feminism and other social justice movements. As the Sustainable Dining Hall Communications Manager at Skidmore, that's a mouthful, she has implemented Low Impact Wednesdays, which aims to ensure that the dining hall serves sustainable local food that lowers Skidmore's ecological footprint.
Which is my favorite. Bryn is also the PETA representative at Skidmore College. She also founded the club about animal rights called Compassion for All. And Bryn is passionate about educating people about how everyone is able to make a difference on others and how everyone should be mindful at the same time about the impact they made on others and also on the planet. Her talk tonight is titled Eat Like a Girl. Without further ado, let's welcome Bryn.
Thank you. How's everyone doing tonight? Okay, so not that great. Okay, so I'm going to start with a personal story. Is that all right with everyone? Okay. So I used to love eating meat. I ate meat probably at least once a day. Even after my sister became a vegetarian, I used to wave like steak or chicken or anything I could find in front of her face and say, "Don't you miss this? Don't you wish you could eat this like I could?" Well, then my family decided to take a trip to Arizona, just for a family vacation when I was 11 years old. So to get the full experience, we just had to go on a tour of a cattle ranch. So the rancher the whole time is saying how much he loves to maintain his fields and how much he loves his animals. Well, we get to the end of the tour. He turns to a cow named Lucy, and he says, "Lucy, are you ready to become my next pair of boots and a hamburger?" I was appalled. I wanted to run up to Lucy and cover her ears and say, "You don't have to listen to this. This isn't your destiny." But she already knew it was her reality. It was me that needed the reassurance. Well, on that day, I realized that I had the power to unsubscribe from the largest mass killing in history. I realized that if I could not even hear that, I did not want to pay someone to do it for me. On that day, at 11 years old, I became a vegetarian. Years later, I realized vegetarianism just wasn't enough. And that's what's brought me here today to talk to you about veganism and feminism and how they're inherently correlated. As I got older, I began to take trips into New York City. It was close to my home, I just got my driver's license, and it was a nice escape from my rural town. Of course, the hustle and bustle came at a price. With every step I took, I heard catcalls or got rude glances, and my mind would be racing with thoughts like, "I deserve to walk on this street just as much as you do, and I am not just something you can have sex with." So, what's the common denominator between Lucy and me? Well, just like Lucy is not an article of clothing or a hamburger, I am not a sex object. Of course, my story is not rare. Every day, women are objectified for their bodies. We're told wearing an outfit on a hot day that shows too much skin is unacceptable. We're told breastfeeding in public is inappropriate. The very parts of our body used to give nutrients and sustain life are used against us and demonized, as if our breasts and bodies served no other purpose than to be sexual. Recent studies by Oxford University have shown that animals feel pain, pleasure, love, and joy just like humans do. So this brings me to my point that women, and the way that women are not inherently sexual, is the way that animals are not inherently meat, dairy, or egg machines. The way we objectify women for their bodies is the way we objectify animals for their own. Animals are not your breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Animals are mothers, animals are fathers, and most animals we eat are children. And with this Oxford University study that shows that animals interact on a family, have family units just like humans do, and interact with other animals just like humans do. But because it is easy to write off those who are voiceless, animals endure horrible systems of cruelty that often go unquestioned. As if this weren't bad enough, eating animal products promotes rape culture. Animals cannot consent. He or she cannot consent to being caged. He or she cannot consent to having their throat slit. She cannot consent to being inseminated and kept in a vicious cycle of pregnancy until her body can no longer produce and she is sent to slaughter. Cows used in the dairy industry are impregnated on what farmers and the industry themselves call rape racks, only to have baby after precious baby be torn away from them so we can drink the calf's milk. It's often been reported that mother cows will try to hide their calves so when the farmer comes to get them, they will not be found to go off and be veal. It's also been reported that calves are killed right in front of their mothers as the mother audibly cries out, trying to help her baby. But just like human women, she's told her voice doesn't matter. Her voice is an inconvenience. Her voice can be silenced. Of course, cows are not the only animals that have it worse than their male counterparts. On so-called free-range chicken farms, hens are shoved into small, filthy cages, have their laying cycles manipulated, and are slaughtered after 2 years when their egg production begins to wane. Animals used for fur are vaginally electrocuted. In puppy mills, female dogs are shoved into tiny outdoor crates, denied veterinary care, and are forced to produce baby after baby just to be sold. Monkeys, some of our closest relatives, are kept on deplorable breeding farms and forced to breed so that their babies can be used for animal experimentation. So you're probably wondering, well, how can I relate to this? So I want everyone to close their eyes. No, really, close your eyes. Okay, by a show of hands, how many of you have ever been called over-emotional or too sensitive for crying or showing deep concern? Okay, and how many of you have ever been called irrational or crazy for showing anger? And how many of you have ever been called bossy, or a worse B word, for showing confidence or being assertive? Okay, you can open your eyes. It doesn't surprise me that most of the hands I saw were women. I'm sure you've also all heard phrases like, boys will be boys, or men are just naturally more sexual. That's why there's more half-naked women on TV. The way we discredit women's voices and excuse men's behavior is the same way we disregard animals and excuse the violence. When people say, I would go vegan, but cheese is so good, you're using the same phrases that deflect from the systematic reality that non-human animals are tortured, slaughtered, and raped just so you can satisfy your addictions to taste. Of course, we have seen the patriarchy over time has been just as harmful to women as it has been to men. I'm sure many men in this room have heard phrases like, you throw like a girl, or stop being such a girl, because being a female is an embarrassment. Similarly, we say phrases like, have some manners. What, were you raised in a barn? Or, you're such a pig. Being called an animal is one of the highest insults someone can receive. And that is because you're taking away that which is most important to them, their humanity. When you say someone is an animal, you're saying that they don't deserve respect or compassion. However, we know that have a range of emotions like pain, love, joy, pleasure, heartbreak, just like humans do. So when a woman says, "I'm not a piece of meat," well, neither is that animal. Reducing one living being to another being because of their race, gender, sexuality, or species is never acceptable. An animal is a he or she, not an it. Just like a woman is a human before she is an aunt, sister, mother, or daughter. The power of language cannot be underestimated. Now, I could go on to tell you that 88% of domestic violence cases also include animal abuse, or that meat is targeted and marketed towards masculinity. But there is one point that I want you to take home tonight, and that is, just like human women, animals exist for a purpose that is entirely of their own, that has nothing to do with what they can do for you. You cannot argue that you are against oppression when the very definition of oppression is looking you in the eyes, begging for your compassion, and you are looking the other way. Thank you.